Welcome to the Devil's Podcast. I'm HeYamin.
I'm Andromeda.
And today we're talking about... we were just trying to decide what the topic was going to be. So we're just going to go with like a blanket magic one and see where it takes us. Even though we're thinking about talking about other topics involving that as well.
Yeah.
So if we get there, we'll get there. You know.
Just take this side trail and see where it takes us.
Yeah. Off the crooked path.
Yeah.
From the path to the forest.
Yeah. We're off the beaten trail now.
Off the beaten trail, yeah. I mean, like, magic for me has been a very changing thing. And especially going from being in the coven to working with Mark and Richard more deeply, being ordained and working with Richard on learning like his method of how he does magic, and then working with Mark as well with how he does like Kabbalistic Gnostic magic, and and he does a lot of other things too, and Richard does more conjuring. He's been a Goetic magician since he was 13, which is a story of him. The story of him starting is so funny. I got to share it. So he was in church. His grandmother was a conjurer. So his grandmother was like, she practiced conjuration magic, conjuring up spirits and doing all this stuff. And she worked for hire. And he was in church. He was in a church mass. I think it was mass. Maybe it wasn't Catholic, but I don't remember. And he's in church, and they put out these pamphlets that they passed them around, and it said, "Don't work with the devil. He's gonna give you everything you want and take away what you," or something like that. It was like don't do this Solomonic magic. Don't work with the devil.
It's definitely going to get you everything you ever wanted in life.
He walked up to the pastor with this pamphlet and he said, "I want to know how you do this because I'm thinking about changing teams, basically. I'm interested in what this guy's got to offer me."
Oh my god.
He's like 12, 13 years old.
Oh my god.
And I guess he started doing Goetic magic, and he had, realizations and experiences, and he's got a lot of years to teach from. And Mark is the same way, except for not with the devil. But it's like, Mark has taught me a lot of stuff about Kabbalistic magic, working with Lilith. I wouldn't know as much. I practiced and studied Jewish mysticism before, but it wasn't anything like what I've learned from Mark. And it's funny because it's just like it's literally those two pillars in in the tree of life, severity and mercy. Because it's just so funny. Because when I look at it, I'm just like, oh my god, like these. And I know that Mark is more of a gray magician, and Richard is more of a gray magician too. But it's just funny to look at like what they practice on a regular basis, and it's just like, oh my god, it's the black pillar of severity and the white pillar of mercy. It's like, and I'm just thrust into this, And it's funny because with that, like, as I've grown as a magician and I've been working through the Qlipoth and the Tree of Life, the Sephirothic trees, my magic has changed as I've done these invocations and done this work, with these spheres and Qlifa, and it gets into where you have this working relationship with these beings, and I did prior, but it's like not to the extent that I do now. When you're working with these entities and these energies that are giant pools of universal life force.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And what I think of as like completely like a dark matter too. It's like a Saturnian abyssal energy, you know. And I like working with both. I do, you know. And my magic has altered. You know, when I was first starting to do magic, a little candle spell, and you know, doing a little candle spell, and then
candle spells can be
yeah,
very strong.
No, they're potent, but it's
Very
like
potent.
you know, you're just lighting a candle, having some intention, you know. And then what I first started doing was ritual work, where I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do this invocation. I'm gonna, you know, I started with new moon rituals, where every new moon, I had talked about this last time, but I didn't go in depth. Every new moon I was doing a ritual, and I missed a few, but I did it for a year straight. And it did change, you know, my function as a magician. And then I got into the coven, and I was continued doing monthly rituals, you know, with the coven for the time I was a part of it. And then it got to the point where I was doing my own stuff. I was doing, you know, and I don't mean just like I wasn't doing my own stuff before, but I was like getting into my draconian work, getting into like, my magic took on a completely different form, and it has continued into my study and work now. You know, whether it's, you know, doing magic out in the world or in the community, or you know, my focus now is to not have to write things down, you know, not write down important things, but I mean like not have to write down the magic I'm doing, and just be able to go out and do it, not having to write down some unless it's for a teachable reason, but not have to write down some invocation I'm using or some set formula to follow. It's all about having that information in me and being able to call upon it. Not saying that you shouldn't like have that written down, but I just mean like that's my dead focus. You know, what do I have in my pockets that I can pull out and throw down, and you know, spit out some words and have the magic. That's just that's my thing.
Yeah, I mean mine has not really changed actually.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I've always been so drawn to plants and animals and the currents of the air and the earth. And my magic started with the intuitive, like tuning into what types of plants can I use in my spell work. Mm-hmm. And I definitely delved into the high-end magic, like with the draconian magic, and I got into Golden Dawn a little bit, and then I got kind of deep into Thelema. I even reached a point where I was doing the Star Sapphire ritual almost on a daily basis. And I definitely grew through that. But I always return to, I guess it's hoodoo. Yeah. I really am so drawn to plants. I have probably about 50 different plants, and they're my babies. I cry when a plant dies. In 2020, when COVID hit, I actually got long COVID, and all of my plants died. I had 2 plants that survived, and you know, I thought I was going to die, and then all my plants died, and then I started getting better. And I just kind of had this realization of my plants gave up their essence for me. And that actually made my relationship with plants even stronger. So it's just been this tuning into the plant spirits and the air currents and the crows. The crows come to visit me often when there's a big life change coming. I'll just have clouds of crows just swarming overhead. And that may be partly because I work with the Morrigan very deeply. And so she often will send crows to me to send messages. So that's where my magic is. It's just I do those candle spells, and they are potent. You know, the the simplest little piece of magic can be the most potent thing in the world. But I also work on an astral level. I have an astral temple. I have like levels of areas I go to within this astral temple when I need to do different practices. And that has developed because I didn't always have the time to sit. I spent a lot of time driving in several of my previous jobs. All I could do was do that active meditation while driving, and so the astral temple became my space to do my work in. So that's the type of magic I practice.
Yeah, and I totally went over the fact. I forgot. I like jumped part of the timeline where it's like I was doing Golden Dawn work for like a year
a
straight.
Good year.
Yeah, like every day. I got to where I was invoking the greater supreme hexagram.
Yeah.
I was doing the elemental work with the supreme pentagram ritual, and I was doing the greater supreme hexagram ritual like often. I mean, often. And I was doing the regular stuff beforehand. It's not like I was doing what a normal Golden Dawn member is going to do, where they're going to go in and run through all of these, like this laundry list of rituals, and then they're ready and set for the day's ritual work that they're going to do. Like Edward has videos on his, I think it's Freighter VH channel. If I can find it, I'll put it down below. But in that channel, he has all of these recorded videos of literally daily doing work for the Golden Dawn company, cult he was a part of. And, he was doing these daily works. And he doesn't show, I don't think he shows what the magical working he's doing is, but he shows the invocations prior, like all of the stuff leading up to it. And then, of course, he's probably summoning angels or God knows, summoning Yahweh or something. Yahweh, or Yahweh Bauhe. Oh my gosh. Yahweh Bauhe or something. But, and I wasn't doing stuff like that. I was mainly doing it to invoke the energies for my own purposes, going through the day. Like, how do I apply this in my everyday life? What are these energies here and what are they there,
Yeah.
It's the work within me, and the work around me that I was doing. But anyways, but yeah, I totally glanced over that. I didn't even say anything about that. I totally spaced it.
It's
funny because I don't do it the same now. Like, and I actually created the ALO ritual because of the fact that I was doing the LVX daily. I was doing it like 2 or 3 times a day sometimes. And the ALO ritual came to me one night. It was like late in the night, and I was meditating in bed. And I was like, oh wow, like I think that I have like the framework for this ritual. Mm-hmm. And like it was just coming to me. I think I was scrying too that night. I was scrying and like stuff was coming to me, and then I stayed up until like 2 or 3 in the morning writing out this ritual. And I practiced it the first time. I think we practice it together, or was it just me?
No, you did, and then immediately afterwards you were like, you gotta do this too.
Yeah. And it's like, because the LVX is the Lux ritual, which you're like using God forms. If you don't know Golden Dawn, you're using God forms of Isis. Oh my gosh, Isis and what is Osiris, and who's
is it? Ra?
Is it Set? Is it? I think it's Set. I don't know. I don't do it that much anymore.
It's been a good year at least. Has it been 2 years?
Yeah, it's been a couple years. But anyways, so you're taking on these god forms to die and be reborn, but you're not actually, you're not really dying. It's just the rebirth of your energy, and you're you're drawing down this light into your space, because Osiris gets killed and Isis mourns, and then it is Set, and then Set is victorious. It's Isis and Apophis.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's
Apophis.
Isis, Apophis, Osiris. Yeah,
I just keep thinking of
which is the serpent, the black serpent.
Babylon and Nuit and the Thelemic workings.
So you're like, and it's the rising up of Osiris again. So it's the rebirth of Osiris, like the reintegration, and you're bringing down the light. So in the ALO ritual, which is the Ascendat Lux Obscurata, you're doing, you're bringing up like dark energy from below, and it's called the Ascending Below the Light ritual, which is what Ascendat Lux Obscurata means. And in it you're doing oh my goodness, you're doing like positions on the body where you're like, kind of like how the Kabbalistic cross, you touch the head, you touch the root, you touch the shoulders, and then you bring your hands together. But this is drawing a diamond on your body, and you say, Infralucem, Regnum Inter, Ubi Spiritus Essenventus, Anima Ignis Intis, Essentia, Ascendat.
Lux.
No, that's at the top. Infralucem.
Wait, let me get my book
Regnum
of
Inter, which is the kingdom between, Ascendat Lux Obscurata. So you're saying I'm trying to remember all of the things for it.
I'll save the day.
Yeah, I don't want to grab my book. Okay, let's see. So, oh no, this is the LBX. So, Infralucem. So you touched the. Oh yeah, because I remember I connected them all to different spheres or cliffas. So you touch the root, which is Lilith, and say Infralucem, which is below the light. Gamaliel, which is the sacral, and you say Regnum Inter, the kingdom between. Thagirion at the solar plexus, which is Thagirion's the heart, but in this it's the solar plexus. Mm-hmm. So Ubi Spiritus Essenventus, where the spirit was found. Golichab, which is left shoulder. Anima Ignis Intis, the soul fire within. Gog Shabah, right shoulder, which is Essentia and Essentia, essence within essence. Deoth, the void, which is I have for the heart in this, which is Ascendens Infralucem, which is ascending below the light. Then Thamiel, which is the third eye. Exciterat actum somni, to awaken to the act of dreaming. So basically you're saying below the light, the kingdom between, where the spirit was found, the soul fire within, essence within essence, ascending below the light, to awaken to the act of dreaming. And then it's a connection between Lilith, Samael, and man, the golem of man being Lilith wanting to create man to give them wisdom, and then Samael creating man and giving his spark to them, and then man rising as a golem, and then you're asking for them to create you as molded earth and share the spark and awaken the mind to the dream. And then you're pointing, you do the as above so below symbol, which is left hand down, right hand up, and making the benediction sign, as says in here. And then you say it's Ascendat Lux Obscurata, which is let the dark and light ascend, and then you intone A-L-O, or as I do now, I say A-L-U. Mm-hmm. And then you bring the light, the dark and light above, so you're ascending below the light.
Yeah, I've always found it interesting when I do this ritual, when I do the benediction sign, I will see I don't know where this comes from, but I'll see a tall cross, almost like the lower point is very long and drawn out and sharp, and I see like this circular, almost like a sun, like a crown, I guess you could say, rise up, and I'll hear like almost like a chain or something, like a ch-ch, and I'll see it rise up, and it's almost like a darkened sun that comes up to the tip of this tall cross, and it shines out these ruby red rays out of it, and it is a very interesting experience. The first time it happened, I was like, what the hell just happened? What the hell was that? And after some time, I actually became very, like, so used to it that I was like, oh, okay, you know. Yeah. But I haven't actually practiced this ritual in a while.
I do it at rituals that I do by myself with Lilith, but I haven't been doing it as much lately. I was doing it daily for a long time. That's why I have the Latin memorized, because I don't even use the English. But yeah, and it's great. It's on my website. It's on Etsy if you want to buy it. I'll put a link somewhere, or you can just go to my Etsy. There's a link to my Etsy, and then my website is, pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, why I'm saying this is because it's just one of those things where it's like, I was doing Golden Dawn so much that I created my own Golden Dawn rituals, and I was just like, oh yeah, I forgot that I did Golden Dawn work for for an extended period.
Yeah, I was practicing with you, but then I delved into Thelema, and I actually had someone who was willing to teach me. But then I practiced for months. But after some time, I just felt this is not my path. It felt like it was taking me somewhere where I just didn't feel comfortable going. But doing those practices changes your mind frame, and it really infuses your magic with different frequency. So even though I no longer practice that, I haven't practiced for about, I think, 6 months now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
A little longer. Yeah. It's still, when I go to do my practices and my ritual, I still feel that energy, and it is very intense. I mean, I don't know what Crowley was channeling, but it was very intense, and I definitely had some very vivid dreams during that period where I was given rituals I had no knowledge of. I still don't understand them, but when I still do these rituals on occasion, and when I do them, I feel just this intense, almost sharp, cold pain because of the intensity of it that goes through me, and it lasts for days afterwards. It's not painful. It's just like the sharp coldness. It's almost crystalline in nature. I shouldn't say pain. It's just like, it's so sensation. Cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I know that my practice of Golden Dawn rituals did change the way that my magic functioned. And it's interesting because going into the Kabbalistic work, because Golden Dawn is heavily Kabbalistic. If you didn't know, it's a practice that's based around Jewish mysticism, and it's Semitic in a lot of ways because there's Egyptian stuff in it. There's some deep stuff based around Hebrew practice and the Torah, and they went on to, the people in the original Golden Dawn groups went on to do a lot of things that changed the scope of magical tradition in the Western world. And they infused it with Tantra from the Middle East. They took things from everywhere, which is which is akin to what I'm doing in my draconian work, because I started with meditation before magic. So it's like, and then getting into my draconian work, I do a lot of meditation because it's like, like in the last episode, I talked about the fact that like when you mix magic and meditation, it's very potent, when you, but that aside, working with the Kabbalistic work that I do with Mark and that I'm learning from Mark and that I've grown into in my own practice with the trees, it's heavily, there's a lot of ceremony to it. And it's not just ceremonial magic. I mean, we talked about, how Catholicism is ceremonial magic and it predates Golden Dawn, of course.
Yeah.
But, it's funny how these things happen in our lives where it's like preparing you and you don't even know. It's just, you'll dig your heels into something for a while and then years later it comes up where it's like, oh, I have that skill. I'm going to apply myself in this other way. I mean, when I first started doing draconian magic, I was a shoo-in for the work because it's like, oh, I was spending 3 hours a day meditating straight, and it's like, when I got into draconian work, I was like, oh, okay, like, there were things to learn. There's still things to learn, but it's like, the tree work is a part of that. And it's like, for me, that experience of sitting and, opening portals and, giving blood to sigils and opening portals and doing the diabolical work that I got into, to get to, to push myself over that uncomfortable, oh, I'm uncomfortable with this. And then I do it. And it's like, and the ego tries to fight you, the spirits will, heckle you a little bit. And then it's like, you get there and they're like, look at what you did. You got past it. And it's very potent. And, if you ever feel, a push, not if you're like doing something unsafe, but you feel a push on your ego that's trying to like trick you into thinking, oh, you shouldn't be doing this because your mother would be angry if she knew you were going to go worship the devil, out in the forest, or, you're focused on shape shifting in a magical ritual. And how would your grandmother feel if she knew you were doing draconian work right now, or your soul is on the line with this, if you misstep one instant, it's like, it's magic, I'm not doing anything inherently bad. I mean, we can have missteps with magic where it's like you do magic and it impacts your life in a way that you didn't intend. You say the wrong words or you do the wrong thing. But if your intent has purpose, if your will is in this work, you're gonna learn. And like a lot of people will say, like, it's kind of a F around and find out in a lot of ways, especially with Goetic beings, because some beings don't like. It's not that they don't like you; it's that you don't like something about yourself, and they're going to show you.
Yes. I think Dawn Thelema was one where I was just like, oh, what have I done? What have I done right now?
Yeah.
It's funny because I worked with Belial, and that was easier. Like, people are always like, oh, Belial, like that one's intense. And I was like, that one was easy. He was easy to work with. He still shows up from time to time, but he's more about like defiance. And if you are defying him, then good job, you passed the test. And he's like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
The Inteleon is like, I'm gonna shift your mindset.
Yeah.
And you're gonna think this sucks, and you're gonna hate me, and I don't, give an F, because this is what I'm here to do.
Yeah. I mean, my experience with that Talion was horrific. And when I got through it, I was like, thank God. Oh my God. I would be sitting in meditation. I think I was sitting in meditation for like 5 hours a day that day. Like for that week. I was like, every day it was like 5 hours of meditation. Cause I was just like, this is so ego blasting. Like this is brutal work. And it's not like you're going to invoke a goetic being and have a jolly good time most of the time. I mean, the first time I worked with Asmodeus, he was literally just trying to scare my pants off. And I sat through it and he's like, okay. And it's like, and then the work thereafter was quite potent. And, I really enjoy it. Like him and Neyama are two of my favorite beings to work with, aside from Lilith and Lucifer. But, of the more darker variety, I mean, they're gonna teach you. And if you feel in some way where it's like, oh, I know this being will mess with me, that's your ego being afraid. You see a sigil and you get a little scared, you probably invoke them in another life.
Yeah, but you probably should not be invoking them if you are terrified of them, because they will create utter havoc in your life. They can destroy you if you're not prepared to step into that. You definitely need to do a lot of work beforehand.
I am not saying willy-nilly. I am not saying just like run through the book and invoke. I mean, even Richard says that, you don't, he calls it his dream team, but it's like, you don't need all 72 spirits. Every spirit can do everything. Mm-hmm. And it's like the ones that you're drawn to are the ones you should be working with, because they're the ones that align with you. I am drastically, completely unhinged when it comes to my work. And I'm not going to, probably summon all 72. But it's
there's somewhere I've refused to participate because I'm like, this is not for me.
Well, I mean, I've had some interesting experiences invoking the devil. So, I mean, and that's one where people would be like, oh, you shouldn't do that. And it's like,
the devil's pretty nice guy, though.
Well, I mean,
cool guy.
He will trick you.
Yes.
I mean, but the thing is like when you see, so, when we're looking at how these beings are functioning through us, they're looking through our lens at us to see what needs to be shoveled around and moved about and disintegrated. And when the first time I invoked the devil, it was a very, sit down, be quiet and listen kind of moment where I'm just like, I'm just allowing that presence in me. And I'm allowing it to remove things. I mean, that's currential. Again, I'm using a word that I created. Currential work. That's what the focus should be. And as a draconian, I totally understand. Well, draconian magician, I understand the function of letting these energies flow through us and dissolve what doesn't need to be there. And it can be very, very difficult to experience. And you should take the path of somewhat resistance, but the focus with that, that was one thing that I did one time, and I'm like, okay, and then I've done it multiple times afterwards, because the first time I was like, I'm not looking for anything, so this is just going to happen. We're going to see what happens, and sometimes silence is your best friend, and I mean, whatever that looks like for you. But the focus of that work specifically was just to see what happened. I know it sounds terrifying, but it was, in the moment, I was like, okay, this is intense. And I just had to, I let it ride. And it's funny because I had more difficult of an experience with Dantelion than I did with that experience. And also, when we're looking at what we're invoking, who we're invoking, looking at the means in which we're doing it, looking at the what words we're saying, and also what mask of that entity that we're invoking, that spirit, that entity, or what have you. So it's all there's so the more you use the lesser key system in the way that it's written, the more difficulty you're going to have with these beings.
Yeah. I think it's funny because the devil always shows up for me in dreams. He always shows up in this 3-piece suit, and he's on playground every time. I'll be dreaming and I'll suddenly like walk into this playground. He's just there smoking a cigarette in his nice 3-piece suit. And he's like, what you doing, kid? like you want to smoke? And I'm like, but he's always there at, it's very funny because he always shows up at pivotal moments. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have this dream and then something in my life will just go bonkers and I'm like, oh, great. Like, I'll have the dream and I'll just know, I'm just like waiting for something to just go off the rails. Like, oh no, like, I know something's gonna happen now, but it's like, it's funny because it always works out. So it's kind of like a forewarning of like, yeah, this bad thing's gonna happen, but don't worry, it's all good. Like, just relax and here, smoke this cigarette while we wait for this.
Yeah.
Now that I actually smoke.
Yeah.
Actually, I hate smoking actually in real life, but yeah, it's kind of a different element when it's in your dreams. So,
and it has a different meaning.
Yeah, it definitely does. That's something I forgot. I passed over completely. So I've done dream magic for most of my life. In my dreams, I started lucid dreaming at about 6 or 7. And it was because I had horrific nightmares, which later on I realized it's because I am psychic. I'm a medium. And so I would have these nightmares because spirits were coming to me. And I learned how to go lucid so that I could wake up. And nowadays, my dreams can be more vivid and realistic than real life. I'll be having a dream and I'll be like, oh yeah, I know this is a dream, but I'm not ready to wake up because this is better than real life. I suppose there's a dangerous element to that, but at the same time, it really helps me work through some very painful things in real life because in your dream you're able to manipulate things. So it's very interesting.
Just like how I use meditation and like altered states of consciousness and not through drugs but through meditation. I use energy, altered consciousness through meditation and astral spaces. I don't really I let my dreams happen. I just don't use them the same. And I know they help me with things, and I'm like, oh, that was interesting information, or oh, that was, I'm glad that happened, or oh, I need to look at that when I'm awake. But I use meditation as my method for that because everybody's got their own style,
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own experience, the way that they do things.
Yeah, I use stuff like Blue Lotus tincture, which you have to be careful with. You can't use it every night or even every week. And I also, something that's much, much less intensive is mugwort salve. And that actually, I actually nowadays prefer mugwort salve because Blue Lotus tincture will sometimes give me a raging migraine the day after. But it really amplifies and intensifies those experiences, especially when you need an answer, you're not getting an answer, and so you're like, well, I'm just gonna, force it, which probably isn't the best thing to do.
Probably not. But sometimes drastic measures need to be taken to achieve the goal or get the thing or get to the point of what you need to understand.
Yeah, and I think sometimes the beings that you work with are waiting. They're like, well, I don't think you really want it that bad, so I'm going to wait until you prove that it is that important to you.
Well, and, the whole point is not to carrot on the stick people, but it's literally to get people to a point where where their change allows that whatever it is, abundant aspect that they're trying to, draw in. And I'm not saying abundance in like money or like things. I mean like that abundance where you're drawing in, you're attracting the thing that you want, whatever it is. And sometimes that is forcibly done, like when people like go before a being and they offer up all their energy to have the thing, and they get zapped of their energy, and then they go off and end up being they just, their life is destroyed because they got the thing and then they didn't know, they weren't prepared for it. They want you to be prepared, whether they're goetic, angelic, deity, which, I mean, what isn't deity, but these forms of godhood, these forms of true self, that are true will, that are acting within us to allow us to receive, that allows us to actually tune into the frequency that allows us to attract the thing in a way that we can sustain it. Because that's what they want. They want success for us.
Yeah. And if we achieve it too quickly, it can destroy you. Yeah. Especially if you're going about it in the wrong way, which I have definitely done that in the past. I will push, and I mean, I know I'm pushing and I know I shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then I just, like, there's the fallout of it is just insane sometimes. Yeah. So.
Well, and there's also the fact of, like, what if the thing that you think you're attached to wanting, whether it be physical, spiritual, or what have you, in your brain, the switch is, oh, if I have this thing, I'll feel this way, or I'll be this way, or that way. There are so many times where people have achieved things that they really thought were going to make them happy. Whether that be becoming a great artist who has, a few million fans or something, or they got a business that they really, they thought they were going to be happy doing that, or they become they go to the moon, or who knows what, and then they're like, oh, this event didn't change how I felt. Well, that's because you didn't change how you felt to get there. And sometimes people get stuck in endless cycles of achieving something, or thinking that they're going to be better having achieved something, achieving it, and then going back to not having that feeling and feeling like, but if I just do it again, that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
The next time.
Yeah. And this time, maybe I won't get kicked in the butt. It's like, well, if you push that button and the shoe comes out.
It's like the button that says "Do not push." It's a big button with the red light, and I think there was a video game in the 2000s called North by Northwest where the guy is like, "Donut, push," and he pushes it. And I always think of that. I'm like, do not. Donut. I want a donut.
Donut. I was thinking of like a Rube Goldberg machine where you press a button and then all this stuff happens. Like a little ball rolls down into a magnet, and then it falls into an umbrella, and then at the very end a shoe comes out and kicks you in the ass.
Yeah.
That's where my mind went. And it's like, I completely different. And that's how our magic is, completely different.
Yes.
But yet it coexists very well.
It does. It does. And I mean, my magic is intuitive because that's what I need. I can't do the rigid structure. That's something that has become very clear to me, is that I don't fit into those confines. And I think it's very funny because I work with Kali and Ganesh, and I guess I could say I'm a practicing Hindu. Because I go and do my mantras every single morning. And I've worked with the various forms of Kali, and then Ganesh showed up, and it's like, well, that is so structured. But at the same time, it is a fluid structure because you're not doing the exact same thing every day. You're working within a paradigm for a certain amount of time, and then you're moving into a new paradigm. And I know people say, like, you've gotta have a guru, but in America, and in the current economic situation, it's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, I know when I started doing chakra and kundalini work, it's funny because we had a guy on the Circle of the Dark Mother Discord come in and be like, "You can't talk about the kundalini unless you're initiated." And he's like, he was a guy who was a part of. I mean, he said he was a practicing Hindu who was in the Agori side of things, and he got really mad at me. And I'm like, dude, like when I started doing this work, because we were talking about draconian work, and he was going off on me about not being initiated and not having a guru and all this stuff. I'm like, when in 2009, when I started really meditating, like opening chakras, opening my kundalini, that in as a poor person in the Western world, you know, like I didn't have a job. I lived with my parents. You know, I didn't even have my own computer, you know, and it's like, I was like looking stuff up online, couldn't afford books because I wasn't working at the time.
Yeah.
I couldn't even find books. I couldn't find any information. Like, how am I going to find a teacher? How am I going to find a guru? And then be able to sustain my work with them and have them, you know, not be a charlatan for the most part, because oftentimes when you find a guru, they are a charlatan. And that's the problem, is they want to teach you their enlightenment. It's not like they want you to worship them. They don't want to show you everything they know. You know, that's usually not the case.
Yeah,
and
they want to mold you into what they believe you should be.
Oh yeah, because they want to keep you worshiping. But not saying that all gurus are that way, but you know, there are a lot of gurus that peddle enlightenment, and there's a lot of gurus who are enlightened. There's a reason why most monks go sit and meditate and don't talk to anybody. It's because they've found their enlightenment and they don't need you. You know, but like how was I ever in that situation supposed to be finding a guru in, especially in America, who they're going to make you pay? How am I going to get to India and work with a guru? Like, they're going to turn me away. They're going to look at me and be like, what are you doing here? Go back to your country.
Dude. Like, no.
I've seen plenty of your type, and now I can see you from the other way that I like to see you, which is walking away from me.
Yeah. I have a belief that if a being wants to work with you, they will provide the correct circumstances for you to take those steps with them. And I mean, and that's been my experience, because I have worked with beings where they're like, they crash in and they're like, I am here for this specific reason. I'm like, yeah, let's go do it. And then they're like, 2 weeks later, they're like, okay, bye. And I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, no. It was just for this 2 weeks. Like, there was just a specific thing. And I'm like, I thought it was going to be long term. And they're like, ha, okay, see you later. I'm like, bye. It really is that way. You really have to test the waters.
Yeah.
I think anytime a new spirit or entity enters, you definitely want to be sure of it. But that's something that I noticed, that like sometimes beings are coming in just to prepare you for the next deity, the next, surprise.
Yeah. Well, and like, I mean, for me, there have been a lot of spirits and beings who come in and work with me in meditation, but most of them aren't staying around. I mean, there's like a team of beings that I work with, and then there's my gods and goddesses that I work with, and it's like none of them have not been sticking around. I mean, Lilith and Lucifer have been there, as was told me. They've been sticking around for a long time. They've been around since before this life, and they will be here after.
Yeah,
and,
that's definitely. I feel like that with the Morrigan, that she was there in the past, especially because I have Irish ancestry, and so she's the lineage passes that through. Yeah. I feel. I think it's very funny because I worked with Lilith for some time, and then Inanna showed up, and she was like, "You're going to work with me for this year," and literally the last day of the year, I got handed over to Kali, literally on the 1st of January, I woke up and I had this video pop up from, hey, it's Amritha, I believe is the YouTube name. And I was just like, oh yeah, and went to this store and they had a Kali statue and I just knew I had to take it home. And I was like, okay. And I ended up taking apart my altar that I had and putting the statue on it. And it was a very gentle handoff of, well, I'm still here, but it's different now.
Yeah.
Of like, you no longer need me in that capacity. So now here's this new deity that's coming in. And Inanna is the journey into the underworld, the stripping away of everything, and then the coming back and gaining a new sense of personal power and purpose. And Kali is about that intense drive of the purpose, but in a different way of like challenging you to face your fears, and that has been what this new year has been actually, of like that intense, like facing the most intense fears I have of like, I was pushing with college. I was like, I am gonna do this thing if it kills me, and then Kali showed up and was like, Are you ready for this? Because it will kill you, and here we go. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Sometimes it's the words we choose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I was the one that got us off on the sidetrack this time.
Oh, no, it's good.
I feel like I really went overboard.
No, it's good. We should definitely call it here.
Yeah.
This has been another great episode. And, all of our links for everything are either down below, or if you're on YouTube, they are in next to the bio. Like if you go to the YouTube page and look at the links, it's there. We even have an email if you feel like contacting us, but I think you have to be on a computer or tablet to access that. You can't access it on a phone. I know that because I've tried to use that method, and you have to like click a little button that reveals the email and you can contact us. If you liked it, please like this. If you want more of this, you can subscribe. Or follow it, because we're on other podcast websites. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Amazon. I think that's it. And our main place we're doing this is YouTube, so
yep.
You can look for us anywhere. But if you're on YouTube, subscribe, and if you want to comment something, go ahead. If you want to contact us, ask questions if you're interested.
Definitely.
And we are super grateful to be doing this. We're super grateful that people are enjoying it. We're still doing them Monday and Friday, around 2 Pacific time. I didn't say that last time. I didn't say Pacific time.
We're trying to hit that.
Trying to hit it.
Even though it's rather late at night right now.
Yeah, it's all good. We will get it. I'll edit this up, and I've got some other videos to work on, so I'm going to be preparing those.
Yes.
So, so this has been the Doubles Podcast. I think I covered everything that I need to cover after the fact. So, the darkness in me sees and honors the darkness in you. This has been the Doubles Podcast.